Hello everybody. Looking good at already over 200 viewers. That's nice. So, today you can ask everything you want to know about the add-on team, and we will try to answer it in at least the way that we can. So, this evening we have a very special guest with us today. It's our add-on manager, Mr. Forerunner. Say hello there.
Hello.
So, everyone ask away, and we will try to answer your questions. Meanwhile, we are going to drive from Prague to Rome on the EU2 server. If you see us on the road, feel free to join us, and then you can drive with us. Maybe ask some questions in game, ask some questions in stream chat, and then we'll answer them.
Right, my stream chat's not working, so you're going to have to forward the questions to me.
All right. What about more Skoda cars like Fabia or Karoq? Forerunner?
So what was that?
What about more cars from Skoda like the Fabia and the Karoq?
There's not much need for another car. Like the cars do add variety, but there's no need to add an additional car on top of that.
Yeah, indeed. When promos on Truckers MP? I don't think there will be promos on Truckers MP. Mainly to do with distribution and licensing, because as you know, Promods requires a license from them, and us redistributing their mod would be kind of breaking a couple of laws.
And also their mod is very, very large in terms of file size.
Yeah, it's one. I think if you download the separate files, it's 1 gigabyte each, approximately.
Yeah, that's a lot for what we do.
If you put it into perspective, the winter mod is 700 megabytes, and it's already a mess to distribute it to everyone. Ollie, how does Truckers MP make money? Is it all just of donations? Yes, it is all of donations, and also a little bit from advertisements that we run through Google. When comes a new Renault T? Well, that's something we can answer. That's only SES that can give the correct answer there. From the images that they share, I guess it's ready, but they're just waiting on the proper licensing. When are we going to release AI game modes? Well, we have teased it a while ago, but other than that, there is nothing to be told about. Behind the scenes, everyone's still working on it. And yeah, that's all we can say about it. Why on MP is Skoda Superb but not Toyota? Maybe you can answer that. So the question is, why do we have a Skoda but not a Toyota?
Because we've only got one car, and whoever made the decision of what car back in, I think it was 2015, when it was first sort of started, they just decided on Skoda. How much more to it than that? They just decided that it should be a Skoda.
Yeah.
What a Skoda looking like that. So.
Well, maybe let's get out of here.
Yeah, let's make a move.
Because this is very loud. Why add such terrible mirror graphics? Well, that's not our doing, that's SES's work. Nothing we can change about that, unfortunately.
But a lot of programming needs motivating.
This guy is lagging a little bit.
A little bit.
That will be an understatement.
I've now lost you. Let's give way at a roundabout.
Oh yeah, I just went straight on.
Connect.
Straight on towards
not
Bruno.
Red line. Red. Double. Go to Bruno. Did I a lot?
Yeah, got you. Yeah.
Right, let's bring it up to cruise control and then we can start reading chat again. Without crashing too much. Right, I've put my cruise control at 100. And it looks like we're already going on a small road again. Oh my god. Worst driving ever. When can we expect AI cars or trucks? Yeah, we've already answered that question a little bit ago. Maybe you want to give your version on it?
That'll be when the new game mode is complete. The one that we teased a while ago. There's no expected date on it.
Indeed. Best driver 2K18, yeah, indeed. Everyone in chat, please keep your language to English only. Cars uses, yeah, that depends on who you're asking. I think over the years it has evolved to something that not everyone likes, but that's mostly because of others misusing the ability to use a car and what it can do because of the higher speed and lower profile.
And it is actually a minority of people. Look at the amount of players on EU2 at the moment.
Hi.
Yeah.
The amount that are actually going to be
Hello.
misusing the car, driving recklessly. It is a vast minority. The reason it looks like more is because you don't notice when a scout car drives past you perfectly fine. You notice when they hit you.
Yeah, indeed. The same with just random trolls in trucks. You won't really notice them unless they ram you or do something incredibly stupid. Hello from Slovenska. Hello. How was the weather up there? Will we eventually have private service? Tough question. The mod is more intended to be multiplayer and MMO style, which is why we have never actually released the service to be rented by specific persons or release a service software. So you can run it.
The furthest we go with quote unquote private servers is for events and such.
Yeah.
Where you can get the event server if you meet very specific criteria. And even
Indeed.
then, that server is only for that event, and then after that, that server's gone. That's as far as we go with private servers at the moment.
Will there ever be a Scania team mod in multiplayer Forerunner?
No plans on it. There's no plans on adding something like that. It doesn't add much to the game because only a specific amount of people would like to drive a truck like that. They're not commonplace. So seeing them, all over would be quite odd. So there's no plans to do something like that.
Yeah,
And we
indeed.
can't add third-party mods. The mods that are added come from the add-on team, where they're developed in-house, not by third-party developers like Scania 2's RJL. That is his mod. We can't go and use that.
Yeah, indeed. And then there is also the problem with supporting it through different versions.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is if SCS go and make a change and that mod becomes out of date, someone needs to update it, and some mods, especially larger ones, do take quite a while to update. So we don't want to depend on those specific mod developers to do it.
Indeed. Will there ever be more cars? I don't think there is a plan at the moment to add more cars. Or is there?
No.
No.
No plans to add any more cars.
So maybe now we're driving a bit, you can give maybe a short explanation as to what the general purpose of the add-on team is, because I reckon many players think that we're just creating extra mods, but that's not really the case, is it?
Well, it sort of is and sort of isn't. The add-on team creates official mods for Truckers MP, and we cater our mods specifically to Truckers MP. We don't have... if a mod isn't going to be used in multiplayer, we won't develop it. We develop the mods specifically for this, and just like with the Scout rework, if you're doing it for single player, you could have put real Skoda badges on there, you could have done all sorts of weird things, but they won't fit in the multiplayer environment, so we won't do it. But you might see us add content for events, or add small map changes, or various things. Maybe in future the Scout will get a second rework, we don't know.
Who knows? Maybe add an electric car. You're funny, we don't even have electric charging posts in the game. Winter mode this year, huh? Well, that's a difficult one. The most important hurdle to take with winter mod is the size of the mod and distribution, because year after year the community keeps growing, so we have to have sufficient server resources and bandwidth, most importantly, to be able to provide it to everyone at once, because you have to take into account that it's a 700 megabyte mod.
Yeah, winter mod. Last year it was, I can't remember which mod it was, but
Yeah, it has been the same one as we have always used, but just an updated version.
Yeah, and I think actually that's the only time a third-party mod is added, and that's when I'd assume there's discussions were a while before, but like SES with the trucks really, to actually go so we can use that mod.
Is it possible to get triples in MP by use of a mod?
In ETS2 you can technically do them, but you are not allowed to do them, so don't.
So yes in ETS, no in multiplayer.
Yeah, you can use a mod in single player ETS to get, you know, huge road trains, but it doesn't mean that we allow them.
Yeah, there are multiple reasons for that.
The only multiple trailer combinations in ETS are the normal doubles with the long trailer and the short drawbar trailer, and the B doubles, which is what I've got now.
Will there be a new trailer for the cars?
That's a tricky one. I mean, a second sort of, you know, plain trailer that maybe could have, you know, plain boxes on it, that could be considered in the future. But honestly, not sure at this point. Like, we have no immediate plans, but I'm not saying never. But it wouldn't be, you know, a set of trailers with all sorts of boats and things on it. It would be more sort of a general purpose trailer if we had any more. But at the moment, the caravans that you see in game, or in the games, are actually the AI caravans. They're not custom made. They just reuse the AI model.
Can we make special cabin accessories? Like TMP exclusive ones?
We could do, yeah. That's something I could actually consider in the future, and something we'll put consideration into. So it could be interesting. So you mean like sort of TMP mug on the dashboard and such?
Yeah, I guess something like that. Are the servers hosted by a company or by MWL? We use a hosting company actually. We don't run the servers ourselves, it's hosted. Because it's easier and actually... Wow.
That was close.
I actually thought it went through me. But to continue the answer, yeah, it's easier to use a hosting service than to run it ourselves, and actually to run it would require a whole lot of resources. The servers that run it are actually pretty beefy. Why wasn't there a flatbed with ramps with trailer ownership? We don't know. SCS decided not to make them player ownable.
What trailer was that?
Flat the low loaders for
I
machinery.
I think what they're planning to do is they're just planning to over time add more, and I think what their plan is that it's better to get at least some of it out to the players than to hold it all back.
Yeah, they did the same with the new Scanias.
Yeah, they released the base Scanias, then they released Mighty Griffin and the 8x4s at a later point when they were ready.
Why do I have a feeling there is going to be an accident real soon?
Yeah, there might be. But if you look at the mod community on ETS2 on single player, it then makes sense to, even if they've just got the feature and they've got the content incomplete, if they release a feature, at least then people can make their own stuff with it. So they can still make use of the new feature and can still support it and give feedback on it. rather than SES waiting until the end, putting it all out, and then it doesn't work properly.
Yeah.
Or intuitive or something like that.
Will it be prohibited for Turkish people to access EU servers if there would be a special Turkish server? No. Anyone can enter any server. Unless, of course, you have a ban on your account.
Yeah, it's the same as with the US and South America servers. You can join those even if you're from Europe, it doesn't matter. There's no reason to restrict it.
Indeed. Will you add more weather mods? Maybe, but it's not up to us to decide it. It's up to MWL and the other developers to put up extra mods for weather. But yeah, obviously you have to take into account that in order to support one of those, there is a lot of work to be done because we need to be able to distribute it to everyone.
And there's also the thing of maintaining them, because a lot of people don't realise quite how much work goes into a weather mod. Pretty much every single texture in the game needs to be altered, which is a huge undertaking on its own. And then, as I think we actually saw a couple of years ago, then halfway through winter mod being distributed, SES go and drop Vive la France.
Yeah.
And then half of the map is non-winter again. And you've got to update it all for that, and you've got to redo the distribution. So they are quite awkward to work with.
I've got a good one here. Well, a good and a funny one. Winter physics or multiplayer?
Sorry?
Winter physics or multiplayer?
Probably not.
I mean, you're seeing Primes driving at the moment when he's trying to read the questions. Imagine that, but with the truck able to slide.
I mean, I think everyone knows how people drive in certain areas.
Yeah.
Even if you were to limit it to certain areas, it would still cause a problem at some point.
Yeah. Well, even not taking those areas into account, let's just imagine this. You have a truck with a 40-ton load on the back and you have to drive up a very steep hill. As you know, in the Alps and in some other areas, it's hard to get up a hill even with standard weather. Imagine that with winter physics with slippery roads, you would basically create a huge bottleneck.
And also imagine, like, at the moment, if you slam your brakes on if someone lags in front of you, you can just about stop. If Prime was to lag now, and it was windy and slippery, I would put my foot on the brake and my truck would just slide straight in the back of the truck. And then you've got my truck in the middle of the road stuck, which then creates even more of a traffic jam.
Indeed. Oh. Apparently I clipped my trailer.
Yeah, it was on 3 wheels.
Cool. Yeah, I think winter physics is more suited for a single player mod. I've tested a couple of them myself and they get the gist of winter weather. But for multiplayer it's not really suited. Will you get an early version of Beyond the Baltic Sea to have it faster supported? That's up to us, yes. Mike, there are no dumb questions. Forerunner Mike asked if there are any plans for winter in Oregon.
really depends on if a winter mod can either be found or can be made for American Truck Sim. I don't think we've had an ATS winter mod before.
We haven't had it, but there have been mods out. But the main reason, if I recall correctly, that we didn't put it in is because in the areas that were up till now available in ATS, there isn't really any snow in winter.
Yeah. It could be considered. I honestly don't know though.
Octavian, I don't know what you're talking about. As far as I know, there is no mod available that automatically enables or disables beacons in highly populated areas. Maybe you know more about it, For?
Don't know of any mod. I think closest thing, I don't even know if such thing exists, but sort of an extra tool that just goes and essentially simulates a key press based on a tab list, but that's probably about it.
Yeah, but the thing is, a key press, one, if such
Yeah,
a mod
key-
exists, it needs to know which key you've bound to set up for beacon enable.
And then, you know, if you're using a tool to do that, then it's possible. But to be honest, it's just best that, you know, if you're in an area that's got lag anyway, it's common sense to keep your beacons off, because they're just going to make the situation worse,
Yeah.
both for you and for other people.
Okay, English Schubert. Are mods in general allowed in ETS2 MP?
Depends what mods you mean.
Yeah.
There's quite a few mods that are now. There's actually a vast amount nowadays that are allowed, mainly sort of save editing derived ones. Other mods like the Volvo VNL mod by those yeah, that sort of thing isn't allowed. Map mods not allowed, that sort of stuff. So it's mainly save editing mods that are allowed, and if you read section 3 of the rules, you can see what sort of criteria a mod has to fit to be allowed.
Will SCS release their own multiplayer? Maybe, and they're free to do so because it's their game. However, in order to do that, I believe they will have to make some radical changes to the game engine. Because how the game engine works now, it's not really supported for multiplayer use. Oh yeah. These don't have autopass.
Okay.
Maybe ETS3 will have MP. Yeah, maybe.
I don't think there's going to be an ETS3 for quite a while.
Well, looking at how much development is being done for ETS2, I don't think it will be
I
soon.
think what they're going to do is they're just going to continue to update this. Because if you look at the similarities between the old 18 Wheels of Steel games like Cooling and stuff like that, in terms of, you know, files, game engine and stuff like that, there's actually a lot of similarities. You can still see it's the same engine. Yeah, if you look at them on the surface, look like two completely different games. So I can't see why they wouldn't just keep upgrading this the same way they did upgrade the 80-watt steel games. Just continue to upgrade the graphics and keep the old content in.
Will there be a mod to destroy all troll players? That's called game administrators, and they do a good job at keeping the servers as clean as possible. Obviously, it is a horrendous job with a huge amount of work. And I have no idea what this guy is doing.
Nor do I, but I'm hoping he doesn't do anything risky.
Why no sound or skin mods in MP? Well, I believe you can run them locally perfectly fine. Am I correct there?
You can do local only mods in Save Editor. They're awkward to make, and you do need to manually save edit to actually get them on the vehicle. But once you do that, you can have, I think the most popular one I've seen is the open pipe standing sounds. You can do that, but that is local only. No one else will hear or see that vehicle as you do.
Yeah. Are we being paid or is it all voluntary? Yeah, it's all voluntary. So every single team member in the Truckers MP staff team is doing this in their own free time, out of their own volition, voluntarily, without getting paid.
Don't get me wrong, I would love this as a job, but no,
Yeah.
it's voluntary.
Can you use a local sound mod? Yeah, if it's local and it's made correctly, then you can use it. And I guess if they have questions if their mod is made correctly according to the rules, for it to be local, they can always ask on the forum. There is a topic created for that.
Yeah, you can ask on the forums if something is allowed or not.
Indeed.
And if it's on a more technical thing, then the reply might take a little bit longer, but you will still get a reply.
Yeah. Will DX11 impact multiplayer for better FPS? I guess it will, but DX11 will only work if SES actually supports it in the game.
Yeah, I think SES might start supporting it, depending on what Steam's doing, supporting the older version of the Windows. But I think at most it would be a bit like when ETS2MP transitioned from 32-bit to 64-bit. There'd be a sort of phase where you'd have the old DX9 version running mainstream, and you could opt into essentially a beta of DX11. Then after that, DX11 would be rolled out to all players. That's how I'd assume it would be done.
Yeah.
Because we have got that sort of comparison with how we changed from 32 to 64-bit.
MLP SWAT weather in game is run locally. So if you have rain, someone else might have perfect sunshine, another one might have mist, another one might have a big thunderstorm.
Yeah, with rain, it could be a bit like a cartoon where it's just rain clouds above one character. You can just get rain clouds essentially just above your truck, and you'll be sitting there, wipers on, still a bit barely able to see because of the amount of rain. Someone else will just be a nice sunny day.
Yeah. We have, however, tried to sync the weather, but it turned out it was mostly raining all the time.
But I think with the weather system, it's sort of is random whether it starts raining or doesn't start raining. So it's harder to control that than it is to, say, control the time, which multiplayer does, because that is always going to be the same.
Yeah. Is there a possibility to add new trucks to MP? Yes, but with legality and technicalities, it's harder to do, and
Yeah.
also maintainability.
Yeah, I mean, adding a new truck, it is obviously possible to make mods and add new trucks. So it's been done for single player since the game launched, but a lot of those mods, even the single player ones, you'll see that they end up not being maintained anymore. Game versions break too many things, so they get dropped, and we can't do that. So, and of course, we don't want to use a trademark brand like we use the ATS example of a Freightliner. So, in order for us to do that, we'd have to do what SES is doing, and actually checking with Freightliner to get the license for that vehicle. And it's a lot more complicated than SES make it sound.
Yeah.
For you anyway.
Need to take into account that companies don't really like their brands to be used in games and in adverts by anything that is not them.
And if they do allow it, then they'll be very strict. They'll make sure it's exactly as they want it.
And expenses of hell. Skins for YouTubers, streamers and VTCs. Currently not supported. However, I think to have it supported would be a complicated job for Forerunner.
What was the question? I didn't quite get what you were
Like,
asking.
basically, it comes down to having your own skins for trailers and trucks be visible in multiplayer.
Quite complicated thing to solve then, and does actually sort of tie into the same problem as the winter mod eventually with file size and distribution, because so you get Bob's Trucking or whatever as a VTC, everyone who sees them will need that skin, so that skin needs to be distributed to everyone, not just people in the VTC. And there are a lot of VTCs out there. I mean, there's sort of the air quotes here, main. Sorry about the dogs if you can hear them. Sort of main VTCs that you can hit, that you know about, the big, really popular ones. But there are a lot of smaller VTCs that are still really good. They would all need their own skin, and eventually the file size would become a problem.
Yeah.
And also, how do you stop someone who's not in a VTC from using a VTC skin? That's an entirely different problem.
Yeah. I've seen a couple of questions and remarks about the game mode that was teased some time ago. The topic is not being ignored. However, for it to actually be in multiplayer and to have it available for everyone still needs a lot more work and a lot more fine-tuning to be done. So at that moment there was a rough skeleton ready, but to have it available and properly syncing up without problems with more than 1 or 2 people still requires a whole lot of work to be done. And obviously the developers focus on the critical parts first, like updating the game mode and keeping the website up and running and fixing bugs. Is that dash table a mod? No, it is part of the Scania tuning pack, which is a DLC that you can buy in the Steam store. How can I use doubles in MP and especially Germany? Forerunner, maybe you want to explain the basics?
What about doubles and where you can take them?
Yeah.
You can take them anywhere except in northern Germany, sort of Belgium area. You get what's kicked if you take them there.
Any chance for private service with multiplayer support? No. At this moment, no, because we want to provide the service as an MMO, meaning lots of players on one server to interact with each other. And currently what we have as quote-unquote private service are event servers that you can request, and in order to do that you need to be compliant with a couple of requirements that have been set forward.
And that server is only for the duration of the event.
Yeah.
So you once that event is done, you don't get to keep the server up and burn it with your friends afterwards. It's for the event. After that, it gets disabled.
Indeed. Was reading the chat a little bit too much there. For the skins idea, maybe do it just for a couple of verified VTCs. Yeah, but still would cause the same problem because you would have to distribute all those things to everyone, and yeah, then the question rises about equality.
Yeah, you end up with questioning, like, define verified, who decides if VTC is quote unquote worthy of having its own skin. If it's just based on amount of members, you get a surprising amount of VTCs compared to what you think you actually would qualify. And if you think it's just one, file that does the skin, you need a couple for each type of trailer, probably, especially with the doubles. One for each type of truck. So you're more dealing with about 15 files, at least, per VTC.
Yeah, and I guess it's not just for each truck individually, but also for each variant of that specific truck.
Yeah, you can get, like the Mercedes is the best example I know, the old one, where the two smaller cabs use a completely different set of textures to the top cab. So you need another image there for those.
Are you planning to do something for the situation on the Kelly-Duisburg road? Depends on what you define as doing something about the situation at that road.
At the moment, there's no immediate plans to do anything in terms of add-on mod content about that road. From what I've seen, the game moderation staff do a very good job with that road, and there's, even if we had all the resources in the world to do whatever we wanted with that road, people would still go there. And when you get that many people in that small an area, there are going to be crashes. We're going to end up with collisions. You're not going to avoid that. No matter if everyone's driving it to the best of their ability, no one's trying to be a troll. Just as in real life, accidents do happen. So there's not much that could work that would actually make a difference. And even if it did make a difference, then people could just move to a different road.
Forerunner needs a serious modder to rework the Skoda. Well, I guess you should prove your skills then. Or maybe poke someone that has the skills to apply for the add-on team.
Scouts in their current form are, I think, actually good. I mean, they don't push trucks around quite like they used to. Brakes now work on them, don't tip over as easily. The physics have been improved as much as you can get. Because this game is not meant to simulate a 1-ton car, it's meant to simulate 8-ton trucks. That's just the cab. The physics are a bit off, but it's not much. That's not something we can change. I mean, there is a file that you can change for physics, but that's globally. You can't change that per vehicle, which gives us the same problem again.
LSPD Gamer says, hello Forerunner.
Hello.
Octavian Simon asked, why was zero damage mod banned? Well, simple answer that's already also been given in chat already is that it was being severely abused, and that's the reason why the fix command was introduced.
And the no damage quote-unquote mod wasn't actually modded with the trainer, which something like that. Yes, people could package viruses into it, but more often than not, when it gets it, also have other abilities on the trainers, where speed hacks, stuff like that. And it is still hacking. It's the exact same way as speed hacking, so that's why it would have been banned.
As Set Prime said, we've got the fix command now, so you don't really need it.
When I install a mod on normal game, how do I keep the mods in multiplayer? You can't, but if it is a mod, for example, to add a couple of LEDs on your roof bar, or just give all trails the same color, the trails that you pick up at companies, that is, not the playground, then you have to run it in single player, pick up that trailer or add that LED, and then go into multiplayer, and then it will be visible. But
Yeah,
as soon as you make changes, then you lose it again in multiplayer.
Now, how that works is when you go into single player, you activate the mod, it allows you to do that stuff, or to get those trailers or whatever. Then when you save your game, it actually puts that data into your save, and then because your save doesn't then rely on that mod anymore, when you get into multiplayer, it still works. You still have the trailer you used to, the trailer you had when you were in single player. You still have the LED on the roof bar.
You did 1 year ago, now you're permanently banned. If you're permanently banned for using a mod, then I presume that you were using a mod that was not according to our rules. Because otherwise you will just get a warning.
Yeah, mods and save editing, they're not, complete free range. You do need to obey certain rules imposed, and if you don't, you can be banned.
Right, now let's take the correct exit here. Do you make a server for promos map? No. Even just having one server with limited downloads available for pro mods would be a legal mess, because we would be redistributing a mod that requires a license, which we don't have.
And although it might be suggested in chat about having people have to download it from ProMod and then go onto multiplayer and just activate it, then you need to worry about verifying that the mod they're running is an unedited copy of ProMod and not something else.
Indeed. We would have to have a way in which we can see that you've either bought the $1 version in the complete package, or the split up files, which you have then puzzled together and actually downloaded it from the official website, which is not an easy thing to do. Because you could argue that you can use a token or a certain code, but those things can be replicated with some work.
And also with Pro mods, especially as I think it was recently seen, I don't know if they've updated it yet, but
It takes them a lot of time to update because
Yeah.
there's a lot of work involved in map edits, especially on their scale.
People are already unhappy if multiplayer is not updated on the first day. And maybe people might remember, for this version of Pro Mods to be available, it took them, I think, something around a month.
Yeah. Well, it's a huge undertaking to do it.
So then either we need to have a way to support two versions at the same time, or postpone our own update in favor of promos. Oops.
it was gonna happen.
It was gonna happen sooner or later. And fixed it.
Sort of.
Sort of. Will you increase the maximum number of players? We have been slowly increasing the maximum numbers of players over time, but you need to take into account that in order to support more players you need a more beefier server, which obviously costs more money.
Not just serve machine, you also need higher bandwidth for that.
Yes, indeed. Ooh. The game is actually being nice to me today. Is Truckers MP coming for iMac? There are at this time no plans to support Apple.
Linux for that matter.
And Linux for that matter as well, yeah, indeed. The reason why is that you would need a lot more development and we would have to do multiple versions of Truckers MP mod that are able to run on one single server as well.
Even subtle differences could cause problems. Even how different methods of send those over the network instead of getting trucks going forward in game. Someone could accelerate on a Mac, and other people see their truck going upwards into the air, depending on how it does the axes. And how
Yeah,
it
indeed.
does. Whether it's going backwards instead of forwards or sideways, you don't know. So getting those all synced up would be, again, I keep using this term, a massive undertaking.
Cabby 2004 asks, I want to be able to put the new generation Scania chassis on the older Scania so I can get the plastic panels. Is that possible to fix?
New Scania chassis on old cabin.
So basically he's
No.
talking about a hybrid.
It's possible, but you're not allowed to do it in multiplayer because the old Scania cabin will overhang the front and increase the hitbox, which
Yeah.
isn't allowed. And there's no way to fix that for MPUs.
Bogdan, can you sync random events? It's not easy, let's put it like that, and for the same reason as AI.
And for the same reason as the weather, because the game trusts itself and getting it not only to decide it itself, but also to then tell it what to do. It will sort of conflict with itself, with like the weather. So I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking the truth, media, in your case, if you have been banned and had your ban appeal declined and such, then we advise you to contact feedback if you're not happy with the result. Chrome Trucker, what new trucks are coming out for ATS? Well, you have heard the same rumors and guesses as we have, namely the Volvo VNL that is coming out or might be coming out soon
They've
or in the
hinted
near
at that for
future.
years. The two trucks that SES showed in early 2016 of ATS are the Freightliner Cascadia, I think it is, and the Volvo VNL. Should say they're the most likely candidates to be coming to the game soon, but we don't know. We're not affiliated with SCS. We don't know what's going with their licenses. Like what with Freightliner, I might just be told outright no, and that's it. Otherwise, they'll be working on it. The fact they keep hinting to VNL, I'd say that's going to come at some point, but I don't know when. None of us do. That's SCS, not us.
Someone asked, can you add matte paint skins?
Add what skins?
Matte, so not shiny paint.
No. Not for what we do, because you actually need to edit the models to change the materials, tell it not to use a reflection. That means redistributing each model for each truck, which SCS will then update, and we'll need to redo when they do something like a tuning pack. And it just gets out of control eventually with the amount of stuff that needs to be done every update.
Cabby 2004 says, well, wouldn't it be easy to put the AI cars on the server itself as an own file instead of using the client side? The thing there is, it's not really a file, it's something that is randomly generated on each player client. If I remember it correctly.
Well, you're using the spawn command, is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, how the AI is being generated.
Yeah.
But it's randomly generated by each player, that's a problem. Right. Let's see, we have been live for just over an hour. That's nice.
Yeah, it was actually quite a well-timed thing, so it was getting on to literally an hour as we were getting into Rome.
Yeah. So I guess for this Q&A session, we will close it, and then this has been going really nice, so I assume that we will be doing more of these Q&A sessions in the future, and then build from there. And we will most likely have a different guest speaker then. The goal is to have each manager at least once, and then everyone can ask about those specific teams that they lead. So, let's see, one final question. If I can find a good one. Sergeant Bretsick, what was the new update? Yeah, the new update was just some optimizations, I believe. Wasn't a specific changelog that was released. So, on that note, I will close this Q&A session, and we will see you in the next one. And I hope everyone liked it and learned a lot. And for me personally, I really liked it to be driving around and answering all your questions. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I think it was good. It's nice to answer community questions directly.
Yeah. What is Add-on Manager? Well,
That's me.
that's Forerunner, yeah. And he's the manager of the add-on team who creates, for example,
Create and maintain
the
stuff
car.
like the scout car.
Yeah. And also a couple of small things. You might remember the event thing that was changed in ATS with the big server event.
That was a temporary map fix made by one of the previous add-on team members. Really good mod.
Yeah, indeed. Huh. Hello, Smokey. Thanks for the stream, Primer Forerunner. Yeah, you're welcome. And on that note, we are going to close off the stream, and we'll see everyone, hopefully, in the next one.